72 hours. That's all Kael Draven had to find Molly Velloria, a Vellorian girl abandoned on Xerion, a death world where jungles devoured ships and beasts tore through steel. Fail, and her mother's psionic fleet would burn the galaxy to ash. Kael's boots hit the planet's acidic soil, rifle ready, the clock ticking. Save her, or we all burn. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the low drone of quantum projectors, their light casting holographic star maps across the obsidian table. Kael Draven stood at attention, his SOR fatigues crisp but scarred from a dozen Deathworld campaigns. His jaw tightened as the Council's lead speaker, a wiry Cordy named Director Thaler, fixed him with unblinking black eyes. Kael Draven. Thaler's voice rasped like static. The Vellorian High Matriarch Vera Zorith accuses the Federation of ambushing her daughter's ship near Xerion. Molly Velloria, age 7, is missing. Vera threatens war in 72 hours unless the girl is returned. Kael's fingers twitched at his side, a flicker of unease. 7 years old. A kid. His mind flashed to a memory he buried deep. Screams, fire, a family lost to hierarchy bombs. He forced his gaze steady, meeting Thaler's. Xerion's a Class 11 death world. Jungle bioforms, adaptive predators. If the ship crashed, survivors are unlikely. Unlikely, but not impossible, Thaler countered. The Vellorian ship, Eclipse Sovereign, vanished in Xerion's orbit. No distress signal. Vera claims sabotage. You're to find Molly, or proof of her fate, before Vera's fleet mobilizes. A human counselor, Admiral Ruiz, leaned forward, her voice low. Kael, you're our best. SOR trained, Deathworld tested. If anyone can navigate Xerion's hellscape, it's you. But Vera's no bluff. Her psionic shock troops could glass Federation outposts if this escalates. Kael's dry humor surfaced, a shield against the weight. So, no pressure then? Just save a kid, stop a war, and dodge flesh-eating vines in 3 days. His smirk faded as he caught Ruiz's grim nod. 72 hours. A kid's life. No room for error. Thaler gestured to a hollow display. Xerion's dense jungles, teeming with bioluminescent predators and corrosive flora. Your shuttle's prepped. Solo OPI per your preference. Extraction beacon goes live in 72 hours. Don't miss it. Kael's hand brushed the hilt of his vibroblade, a reflex born of years surviving worlds that chewed up lesser men. He thought of Molly, small, Vellorian, probably terrified. If she's alive, she's tougher than she looks. His own childhood, scraping by on Earth's brutal margins, taught him that kids could be resilient. But Xerion? That was a crucible even he respected. Understood, Kael said, voice steady but eyes distant. He turned to leave, boots echoing on the chamber's polished floor. As he passed the star map, a faint tremor ran through him. Not fear, but the ghost of a memory. Protect the kid. Don't fail again. Molly Velloria curled into a ball, her small frame wedged between jagged rocks under a canopy of glowing vines. The air on Xerion was thick, heavy with the scent of rot, and something sharp, like metal. Her heart pounded, not just from fear, but from the emotions that flooded her mind. Echoes of the Eclipse Sovereign's crew, their panic still lingering like a scream she couldn't unhear. She was only 7, but her Vellorian senses made her feel too much, too deeply. Yesterday, the ship had shuddered, alarms blaring as the hull split like paper. Molly remembered her mother's guard, Lieutenant Zara, shoving her into an escape pod. Stay alive, little one, Zara had whispered, her voice steady despite the blood on her face. The pod had ejected just before the Eclipse Sovereign exploded, a fireball lighting up Xerion's green-black sky. Molly's pod crashed into the jungle, the impact knocking her out. When she woke, the jungle was alive with danger. Her telepathy caught fragments of the crew's fates. Zara's defiance as she fired at a pack of Răng Lưỡi, their ultrasonic roars drowning her screams. Engineer Torf's despair as Bloodvines snared him, thorns sinking into his flesh. Only 3 crew members had survived the crash with her, but by nightfall, the jungle had claimed them. Avoid eel's electric surge had fried Navigator Kren mid-sentence. A swarm of mist bats had blinded Medic Lila, driving her into a river where something unseen dragged her under. And Zara, brave Zara, had stood between Molly and a Răng Lưỡi, her vibroblade flashing before the beast's claws ended her. Molly counted the hours by the faint pulse of her mother's pendant, a Vellorian relic that hummed against her chest. One day she thought, 24 hours since the crash. Her empathic senses tingled, picking up the jungle's hunger, a living, breathing malice. She'd hidden in this crevice all night, her small body shivering, her mind fighting to block out the jungle's emotions. She whispered to herself, "Mama's coming. Just stay alive." Her curiosity, usually a spark, was dulled by fear, but she clung to it, remembering how Zara taught her to notice details, the way vines twitched, the hum of insects. Morning broke, the jungle's bioluminescent glow fading under a sickly green light. Molly's stomach growled, but she didn't dare move. Her telepathy caught a faint vision, a man in armor, a human, searching for her. Hope, she wondered, but the vision was blurry, unreliable. She crawled out, her bare feet sinking into the moss, and scanned for water. That's when the ground shook. A low rumble grew louder, like a starship engine. Molly froze, her empathic senses screaming danger. She turned, and there it was, an iron-hide behemoth, 10 meters tall, its armored hide glinting like blackened steel. Its eyes, small and red, locked onto her. The ground cracked under its weight as it took a step, shaking leaves from the trees. Molly's heart raced, her telepathy overwhelmed by the beast's raw, primal rage. She stumbled back, her pendant pulsing wildly. Run or hide? Her mind flickered to Zara's last stand, and her small hands clenched. "I'm not prey," she whispered, but her voice trembled as the behemoth roared, its breath hot and sour, shaking the jungle around her. The shuttle's engines roared as Kael Draven pierced Xerion's toxic atmosphere, the hull glowing cherry red against the green-black clouds. The NAV screen screamed warnings. Class 11 deathworld, 1.3 G gravity, biohazard index maxed out. Kael's lips curled into a dry smirk. "Just another Tuesday," he muttered, though his pulse thrummed with the weight of the mission. 72 hours to find Molly Velloria, a 7-year-old Vellorian girl, or High Matriarch Verazoreth would unleash her psionic fleet on the Federation. His fingers tightened on the controls, landing the shuttle in a scorched clearing where smoke curled from the wreckage of the Eclipse Sovereign's escape pod, a faint beacon in the distance. Stepping onto Xerion, Kael's boots sank into pulsating moss, the air thick with rot and a metallic tang that stung his throat. The jungle loomed, a labyrinth of bioluminescent vines and gnarled trees, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal hands. His HUD flickered, mapping the smoke trail, miles away, but close enough to start tracking. A kid out here alone. The thought stirred a ghost in his chest. His sister's face, lost to hierarchy fire years ago. He shoved it down, checking his gear, pulse rifle, vibroblade, sonic grenades, all standard for an SOR deathworld op. "Time to hunt," he whispered, eyes narrowing as he scanned for signs of Molly and her crew. Kael knelt beside the mangled escape pod, its hull twisted like crumpled foil, half swallowed by acidic soil that hissed against his boots. The air reeked of rot and ozone. Xerion's jungle a fortress of bioluminescent vines and gnarled trees, their branches clawing at the green-black sky. His HUD locked onto the smoke trail. Miles north, a faint beacon. No bodies in the pod, but signs of survivors screamed at him. Small boot prints, unmistakably a child's. Molly's, mingled with larger, clawed tracks of Vellorian guards, their deep treads hinting at heavy armor. They got out alive, but not for long. Kael's SOR training kicked in, his eyes dissecting the scene like a predator's. A cluster of broken ferns, their glowing tips crushed, marked a hurried exit. A torn ration pack, its contents scattered, protein bars half-eaten, suggested a desperate pause. A bloody bandage, crusted with luminescent Vellorian blood, lay discarded, its edges frayed as if torn in haste. Someone was hurt, slowing them down. He traced a scuff in the moss, barely visible under a carpet of glowing fungi, and found a snapped vine, its sap still oozing, less than a day old. A faint claw mark gouged a tree trunk, high and deep, Vellorian, tall and strong. They moved north, organized but scared. Molly's prints were lighter, often overlapping the others, as if she stayed close, protected. One adult track dragged, slightly, a limp. Injured, but they kept her safe. He crouched lower, spotting a cracked data slate half buried in mud, its screen flickering with a partial star map. Navigator's gear, he deduced, noting its Vellorian markings. Nearby, a faint smear of blood led to a cluster of crushed mushrooms, their spores shimmering. The child's prints deepened at the heels here. She'd been running, then slowed, as if guided. Smart kid, sticking with her guards. Kael's mind pieced it together. The crew had fled north, shielding Molly, but the jungle was picking them off. He marked the pod's coordinates, his vibroblade humming softly at his hip. "You're out there, kid," he whispered, moving north, the jungle's pulse thrumming with menace. The air buzzed with unseen threats, distant roars echoing too close. His scanner chirped. Organic remains 400 meters ahead. Kael moved low, silent, his pulse rifle ready, senses razor-sharp. The trail led to a clearing slick with blood. In the clearing, a Vellorian male hung limp in a web of crimson bloodvines, their thorns buried deep in his chest, draining him to a husk. His luminescent skin was dulled, his clawed hands clutching a broken NAV tool, its cracked screen showing a star map. Navigator, Kael reasoned, noting the tool's intricate design, Vellorian runes marking high rank. The male's face was frozen in agony, eyes wide, as if he'd seen death coming. Kael's jaw tightened, a flicker of guilt for a stranger he couldn't save. "You got her out of the crash." The vines quivered, sensing him. A barbed thorn shot forward, venom glinting in the dim light. Kael dove, rolling through corrosive mud that stung his gloves. His pulse rifle roared, plasma bolts searing the bloodvines, their shrieks like tearing steel as they charred to ash. He hacked the remaining tendrils with his vibroblade, freeing the body. "You charted their way," he murmured, laying the Vellorian down gently. His dry humor surfaced, a shield against the grim. "Hope the stars are kinder now." He marked the coordinates, scanning the trail. Molly's small prints continued north, now with 2 adult tracks, fewer, but still there. She's not alone yet. The trail veered toward a black river, its surface still as glass, reflecting Xerion's sickly green light. Kael's HUD flashed, electrical anomaly. Instincts screamed ambush. A void eel erupted from the water, 3 meters of sleek, near-invisible death, its jaws wide as it unleashed an 800-volt shock. The charge grazed Kael's arm, numbing it to the elbow. "Son of a," he growled, diving behind a boulder. The eel lunged again, but Kael was faster, switching to his vibroblade. He slashed its flank, dodging another surge, then drove the blade into its skull. The creature thrashed, electrifying the water before sinking in a cloud of bubbles. Kael flexed his tingling arm, muttering, "Try that on someone who doesn't bite back." On the riverbank, he found a Vellorian female, her suit corroded by mist bat's toxic spray, the venom eating through her visor, leaving her eyes clouded and lifeless. A medkit lay open beside her, a syringe clutched in her clawed hand. She'd been trying to treat someone, maybe Molly. Medic, Kael deduced, noting the kit's Federation standard markings, adapted for Vellorian physiology. Her sacrifice hit him hard, stirring memories of his sister's death, another life he couldn't save. He knelt, closing her eyes. "You tried, Doc," he whispered, marking her coordinates. The trail grew fainter, Molly's prints alone now, small but steady. She's outrunning them. Tough little spark. Night draped Xerion in glowing menace, the jungle alive with predatory light. The smoke trail was close, a dark plume against the stars. Kael's scanner pinged, remains near a ravine. Molly's prints turned erratic, as if she'd been sprinting. Beside them, a final set of Vellorian tracks ended abruptly. He found a tall Vellorian female, her armor gashed, claw marks raking her chest. Her vibroblade was buried in a Răng Lưỡi skull, its 5-meter body sprawled beside her. Her face held defiance. Even in death, her clawed hand gripping the blade's hilt, etched with Vellorian runes, marks of rank. Warrior, Kael decided, impressed by her stand. You gave her a chance. A low growl shook the air. 3 Răng Lưỡi slunk from the shadows, their jaws glinting like guillotines. Ultrasonic roars rattling Kael's skull. His HUD screamed, venomous claws, pack hunters. Kael didn't flinch. He dropped a sonic grenade, its pulse scrambling their echolocation. Moving like a predator, he fired plasma rounds into one beast's flank, its hide sizzling. Another charged. He parried with his vibroblade, severing its claw before slashing its throat. The third lunged, but Kael rolled under its jaws, planting a plasma shot in its skull. It collapsed, blood pooling. Wrong prey, boys, he panted, his dry humor cutting through the adrenaline. A bone-rattling roar tore through the ravine, the guttural bellow of an ironhide behemoth shaking Xerion's jungle. Kael's grip tightened on his pulse rifle, his HUD pinpointing the sound. 200 meters east, where Molly's small tracks vanished into a crevice. She's there, and that beast's on her. He marked the ravine's coordinates, his SOR instincts razor-sharp. The jungle hissed and snapped, but Kael Draven was no prey. He sprinted toward the roar, boots pounding acidic soil, rifle primed, a hunter locked on his target. Got you, kid. He tapped his wrist comms, the device crackling to life. Draven to Galactic Council, he said, voice steady despite his sprint. Located the Vellorian girl, Molly. Engaging hostiles, sending coordinates for extraction. His HUD synced the ravine's position, beaming it to the Council's relay. Hope you're listening. A scream, small, desperate, cut through the air. Molly. Kael's pace surged, trees blurring past. He burst into a clearing, the crevice ahead, a jagged split in the rock face, glowing faintly with Molly's luminescent skin. The ironhide behemoth loomed over it, 10 meters of armored death, its steel-like hide glinting, red eyes fixed on the crevice. Its massive claws gouged the stone, inches from Molly's hiding spot. Kael didn't hesitate. He raised his pulse rifle and unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, blue fire stitching across the behemoth's flank. The shots sparked off its armor, barely scratching it. Come on, you bastard, he growled, advancing. The behemoth whirled, faster than its bulk suggested, and charged. Its tail lashed, smashing Kael's comms unit against a rock. Sparks flew, the transmission cutting to static. Did they get the signal? No time to check. The behemoth's jaws snapped, missing Kael by inches as he dove, rolling through corrosive mud. He fired again, aiming for its eyes, but the beast's armored skull deflected the shots. It roared, the sound of physical force, knocking Kael back. His HUD screamed, target near invulnerable. Near's not enough, he thought, scrambling to his feet. Molly's life was on the line, and he'd tear this thing apart if it took every round. From the crevice, a faint pulse hit Kael's mind. Not his own, but Molly's. The Vellorian girl's telepathic voice, trembling but fierce, echoed in his head. It's angry. I can slow it. The behemoth froze for a heartbeat, its movements jerky, eyes clouded with confusion. Molly's power surged, her telepathy scrambling the beast's thoughts, slowing its charge for one precious second. Kael's eyes locked on a glint, barely a seam, a soft patch under its throat where armor plates parted. There, he steadied his rifle, breath held, and fired a single plasma bolt. The shot burned through the weak point, blood spraying as the behemoth staggered. It roared, weaker now, and Kael fired again, a second bolt tearing through its throat. The beast collapsed, shaking the ground, its red eyes dimming. Kael panted, rifle still raised, scanning for threats. The jungle fell silent, save for the crevice's faint glow. Molly, he called, voice low but firm. It's safe now. Come out, kid. A small figure emerged, pale and trembling, her luminescent eyes wide but sharp. She clutched a Vellorian pendant, its pulse steady. Kael knelt, his dry humor cutting through. Tough spot for a hideout, kid. You okay? Molly nodded, her telepathic voice brushing his mind. You're the hunter. Kael's lips twitched. Damn right. Let's get you out of here. In the Galactic Council's command chamber, quantum projectors hummed, star maps flickering across the obsidian table. A garbled, audio-only transmission crackled through, Kael Draven's voice cutting past static. Located. Molly Velloria. Xerion, ravine, engaging hostiles. The signal died. No visuals, no coordinates, just tense silence. Director Thalner's black eyes narrowed. Draven's found her, but he's in trouble. Admiral Ruiz slammed a fist on the table. Send an SOR rescue team, biohazard unit, to Xerion's last known sector. Move. A shuttle launched minutes later, racing toward the planet. Its crew braced for the unknown. Thaler forwarded the audio to the Vellorian flagship Dawnspire. High Matriarch Vera, Zoratha's voice responded, edged with urgency. My daughter lives? Where is she? Ruiz answered, voice firm. Draven's on Xerion, fighting to save her. We sent a team. Stand down your fleet. Vera's tone softened, a rare crack in her steel. A halt war preparations. Request permission for my fleet to enter Federation space to retrieve Molly. Thaler nodded. Granted. Xerion's coordinates will be relayed as we confirm them. No aggression. Vera's hologram flickered. Understood. My ships move for her. The call ended. The Council's chamber taut with hope and dread. Vera's fleet shifting course to Xerion. Kael Draven pulled Molly Velloria close, her small, luminescent frame trembling against his side as Xerion's jungle closed in. The crevice where he'd saved her from the Ironhide behemoth was behind them, but safety was a lie. The air thrummed with malice, the planet itself snarling, as if it sensed intruders and wanted them gone. Kael's pulse rifle swept the shadows, his SOR instincts screaming. Stay behind me, kid, he said, voice low but ironclad. Molly's telepathic whisper brushed his mind. They're coming, so many. Her wide eyes glowed, scanning the jungle, her pendant pulsing wildly. The first attack came without warning. A pack of Răng Lưỡi burst from the undergrowth, their 5-meter bodies weaving, jaws glinting like blades. Kael fired, plasma bolts tearing through one's flank, but more followed, their ultrasonic roars rattling his bones. Move! He barked, shoving Molly toward a narrow path. Bloodvines lashed out, thorns grazing his arm, venom burning his skin. He hacked them with his vibroblade, clearing away, but the jungle fought back. Mist bats swarmed overhead, their toxic spray sizzling against his armor, stinging his eyes. Kael shielded Molly, his rifle blazing, scattering the bats in a cloud of venomous mist. They stumbled into a clearing, the ground scarred and open, no cover. Kael's HUD blared, multiple hostiles closing fast. Void eels slithered from a nearby stream, their electric shocks crackling the air. Kael tossed a sonic grenade, the pulse scattering the eels, but a Răng Lưỡi lunged, claws aimed at Molly. Kael dove, tackling her out of the way, the claw raking his back, tearing through armor. Pain seared, but he stood, firing point-blank, the beast collapsing. You okay? He panted, glancing at Molly. She nodded, clutching her pendant, her telepathy probing the chaos. More, they won't stop. The jungle's wrath surged. Bloodvines coiled around the clearing's edge. Mist bats circled, and Răng Lưỡi prowled, their eyes glowing. Kael's ammo was low, his vibroblade chipped. He pulled Molly behind him, her small hand gripping his. Like a brother, he thought, a fierce instinct to protect her burning brighter than pain. A void eel struck, its 800-volt shock numbing his leg. Kael staggered but fired, its body sizzling. Then a new roar, deeper, hungrier. A second Ironhide behemoth lumbered into the clearing, 10 meters of armored death, its claws gleaming. Molly screamed, her telepathy faltering under the beast's rage. Kael pushed her toward a boulder, the only cover. Stay down. The behemoth charged, its claw slashing down. Kael raised his left arm, bracing. The claw sliced through muscle and bone, severing his arm above the elbow. Blood sprayed, pain blinding, but Kael roared, shoving Molly clear. "Not her," he snarled, firing his rifle one-handed, plasma bolts sparking uselessly off the behemoth's hide. The beast reared, ready to crush them. The clearing was a death trap. Răng Lưỡi closed in, bloodvines tightened, mistbats swooped, and the behemoth loomed. Kael, bleeding and half-crippled, stood over Molly, rifle shaking in his grip. Her telepathic voice broke through. "They want us gone." Molly's eyes met his, terrified but defiant, her pendant's pulse fading. Kael's jaw clenched, his vision blurring. "Not today," he growled, raising his rifle, ready to fight to his last breath as the monsters surged forward. Kael Draven stood bloodied in the clearing, his one good arm shaking as he raised his pulse rifle, shielding Molly Velloria from the horde. The iron-hide behemoth loomed, its 10-meter bulk ready to crush them, while Răng Lưỡi, bloodvines, and mistbats closed in, Xerion's jungle pulsing with murderous intent. Molly's telepathic voice trembled in his mind. "They're too many." Kael's jaw clenched, his vision fading from blood loss. "Stay with me, kid," he rasped, firing a final, futile shot. A sudden barrage of plasma fire erupted from above, beams slicing through the behemoth's armored hide like paper. Its roar choked off as it collapsed, blood spraying. Within a 2-meter radius of Kael and Molly, Răng Lưỡi crumpled under precise shots, bloodvines withered under thermal blasts, and mistbats fell in scorched heaps. Kael staggered, looking skyward. Shuttles bearing the Galactic Council's SOR insignia and the Vellorian Dawnspire's sleek escorts descended, their cannons blazing, clearing the clearing in seconds. The jungle's snarls faded, replaced by the hum of engines. SOR operatives rappelled down, securing the area, while Vellorian shuttle touched down. High Matriarch Vera Zoreth emerged, her regal armor glinting, her luminescent eyes fixed on Molly. The girl ran, her pendant glowing, and threw herself into her mother's arms. Vera knelt, clutching her daughter, her voice soft but fierce. "My light, you're safe." Molly's telepathic whisper reached Kael. "Thank you, Hunter." Kael, leaning on an SOR medic, managed a tired smirk. "Just doing my job, kid." Vera stood, meeting Kael's gaze. "Human, you saved her when my fleet could not. Name your reward." Kael, his severed arm bandaged, shook his head. "Get her home, Matriarch." "That's enough." Vera's eyes narrowed, but she nodded, a flicker of respect crossing her face. 1 month later, Kael stepped onto the Vellorian homeworld, New Zoreth, his new cybernetic arm flexing under his dress uniform. The diplomatic hall gleamed, its crystal spires catching starlight. Vera, now less imperious, greeted him before a crowd of Vellorian nobles. Molly, radiant beside her mother, grinned, her telepathic voice warm. "You came?" Vera pinned a Vellorian star of valor to Kael's chest, her voice carrying. "For saving my daughter and averting war, Kael Draven, you have our eternal gratitude." Kael's dry humor surfaced. "Nice metal. Beats a handshake." Molly giggled, and Vera's lips twitched, a rare smile. As the crowd applauded, Kael glanced at Molly, his mission complete, a brother's duty fulfilled.